Hi, homeschooling mums. Abhinav for homeschooling in London. I wanted to talk about computer games and what do you think of computer games for your kids, especially for kids that are like under 7 years old. Um, I want to talk about this because I went out the other day and I was amongst a lot of other children, parents and their kids, and I noticed that about 70% of the children had either an iPad or some kind of tablet or some kind of game console device like Nintendo DS or Sega Game Gear, whatever they call it. No, it was called the PSP. Those little mini consoles, PlayStation Portable, and if they weren't playing on that, they were playing on their parents' phones games, and I sat there and I was thinking, what do I think of this? I mean, my son does play games. He has an iPad, and he plays games on there. He's not on there 24/7, but he does play games. We do have a PlayStation here, but he doesn't really use it very much. He's more into playing games on like tablet devices. I spoke to one mother who said that she would never give her child a tablet or any kind of game console device because she said that scientific research has proven that electronic toys and computers generally can mess with your child's brain cells, and it can actually affect their development, their brain development. I did look into some of this research. I didn't really do too much research, but I did look into some of the studies that had been done, especially about toys that make noise, electronic toys. And it did, there was some evidence to suggest that it can actually slow down brain development for your child, and can actually make them kind of lazy when it comes to thinking. But this was my take on it, right? I think at the end of the day, as long as you kind of they play the games in moderation, I think it should be fine. And as long as you don't allow them to play these kind of fighting games, where there's a lot of gun shooting and things like that and explosions, I think it should be okay as long as it's in moderation and it's not every day, every hour, every day just on computers. But at the same time, there's some kids that are actually gifted in, like computers. Some kids are at a certain age where you might think, okay, they shouldn't play computer games, but they play them to a certain point where they become so gifted in doing it that they can actually start designing their own games. I can give you an example of a friend of mine's son who is 9 years old now, and he can actually design games at a university level. His mum actually had to purchase him a program where he was designing games because he became so advanced at it, and now he actually goes to a program for gifted children who gifted children in computer programming, children that are gifted in computer programming, and there's children there as young as 6 years old doing, designing software and designing programs and stuff. And so if that's the area that they will probably eventually go into, it is a good idea for them to keep practicing. Think about Bill Gates. He said that when he was younger, he was obsessed with computers and obsessed with like trying to work out how they were put together, and like electronic devices he was obsessed with and how to put them together, and circuit boards and things. So I think as long as you as a parent is responsible in terms of what the games they play and when they play, as in they don't just sit there every single minute of every single day on computers, then I think it should be okay. Like for example, my son, he does play games, but most of the games all the games he plays are age appropriate, and he's not on it 24/7. He literally gets a window of the day, if I do think that he should be playing on that day, to play those games. And once he's finished, I take it away. And if he cries, he cries. If he gets upset, that's it. Tough. I don't just let him go, okay, well, lie down all day and play computer games. It's fine. And I'm going to tell you that since my son did start playing computer games, those particular games that he's playing, and he does have some educational games on there as well that he plays, I've found that he's actually become, his hand-eye coordination has improved, because his hand-eye coordination was a little bit off at one point, and I kind of thought there was something wrong, but it's that's completely improved. Like there's no issue with it anymore. His attention to detail seems to have improved dramatically. his concentration as well seems to have improved as well, and which I've noticed since he's been doing drum lessons. When he first started, he wasn't really playing computer games. When he first started, he was kind of, his concentration levels were really low. Obviously, he was only 4 at the time, but obviously for his age group, they were okay, but slightly lower. I think his attention span. But when he started playing computer games, I noticed that his attention span started going up. His concentration started to improve. And some people might say, well, it might not have been computer games. It might have just been because he's been, over a period of time, he's just changed. But I do think that it has improved in some way. And I think that's probably because I'm very selective about the computer games that he does play. And I kind of look and see what you have to do in each game. I kind of test it out myself. I'm not really a gamer, but I will test it out myself and look and see if it's age appropriate. I'll look to see if there's things in there that might be detrimental to him. And if not, then I just won't download it for him, sort of thing. But the games that I've chosen for him, educational games and just general fun games, I think are okay. What I have a problem with are games that are not age appropriate, and like, for example, things like Grand Theft Auto. Those type of games are not meant for children, and you do see some children playing those type of games, fighting games and stuff like that. Not really meant for children. Some people say, yeah, but what if your child goes to martial arts? It's okay. And what I say is no. Martial arts, if your child goes to martial arts, then they should just practice martial arts in reality rather than on a game. So that's my opinion. I think games are okay as long as they're educational, or as long as they are age appropriate and they're not violent, and they're not games that are going to be detrimental for your child's education or their health. Some might say it doesn't matter what game it is, they shouldn't be playing it anyway because it makes them lazy in terms of thinking. And I say the opposite for my son. Hasn't made him lazy. Actually, it's actually made him much more of a faster thinker. So yeah, my answer is age appropriate games, and as long as the parents are responsible for how long they sit on those computer games for, as long as they're not on it 24/7, I think it should be okay. What I do have a problem with is the games that are not age appropriate, the games that are full of violence, explosions, all sorts. I don't agree with that. Okay, one other question is, what do you think about, there are some people that do homeschool from their computer, and they don't really use books, they don't really use pen and paper. Personally, for me, I think my son can benefit from a mixture of, the two. Computer work and written work, and also just mental work, and obviously out and about kind of work. But if I was going to talk about just written and computer work, I think both written and computer work, a combination of the two, has been fine for my son. Do you think that there should be no computer work whatsoever? This is my theory on this. We live in the 21st century at the moment. Computers are everywhere, and if your child was to go to school at some point, they would have to go on the computer. It's just as simple as that. I mean, they will have a section of the day where they do information technology, which involves computers. In schools now, primary schools in the UK, they have information technology classes. They teach the children how to go on the internet, how to check emails, all sorts of things, how to take pictures on their iPad, and how to edit the pictures, they teach them all those kind of things at this young age. So not to say your child will go to school, but if your child was homeschooled and then decided to go to school, they would learn that at some point. So computers are there anyway, so I think I don't really think there's anything wrong with them learning about computers, as long as they're not watching things on the computer that are not age appropriate, as long as they're not spending all day every day just on the computer and they're not doing any written work, they're not doing any mental work, things like learning how to add up and count using computer programs, in terms of teaching them how to add up using a calculator on the computer. I don't think that's right. They need to learn how to do mental arithmetic. They need to learn how to do arithmetic on the piece of paper as well as on the computer. Like some of these programs, like there's websites called educationcity.com, and it's a really good website for teaching English, maths, Spanish, and various other topics. But it allows the child to think. It doesn't just say, okay, add up this and use this calculator to do it. Do you know what I mean? They are actually educational games on there. So I think that computer work is fine as long as you have a substantial amount of written work, mental work, and other types of work, practical outdoor work. In addition to that, for me and for my son, constant work on the computer, I don't think is going to be beneficial. Not even say it's going to be beneficial. I don't think it's going to be the right way. That's for me. That's my opinion. What do you think of the computer games thing, and what do you think of like learning on the computer? Give me your opinion and give me like a kind of rundown of what you do, and if your child does play computer games, like how you kind of manage their time on the computer game, if you do see it as a reward, or etc, etc, etc. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching these Up and Up Homeschool in London. Just another little discussion. Leave comments below with what you think. Bye.